The blast hits before the sound finishes forming, throwing sand across the ridge and leaving ringing silence behind. One man doesn't fall, he freezes mid-step, realizing movement might kill him. Smoke thins to reveal another body collapsed several meters ahead, limbs twisted unnaturally but alive enough to scream. The frozen man tries shifting weight, hears a faint metallic click, and stops breathing. Wind drags the echo of shouting away as heat presses down, erasing direction and urgency alike. He understands nothing except that his foot is anchored by something hidden beneath the sand. Minutes earlier they had been watching from above, tracking distant vehicles converging on a gathering below. Orders crackled through earpieces, urging action neither of them fully understood. The chatterbox beside him joked through the tension while scanning optics, unaware how close they already were to being seen. Movement in the valley multiplied faster than expected. Figures clustered together, blocking sight lines, complicating the shot they were told to take immediately. The serious one hesitated long enough for uncertainty to spread through command response. Moments later engines roared and armed escorts surged outward, sweeping the ridgeline. The two abandoned position without waiting for further instruction. Gunfire chased them through broken rock, forcing sudden turns and blind leaps between boulders. Equipment smashed against stone until navigation tools cracked uselessly. They hid behind jagged limestone, breath shallow, waiting for boots approaching through grit. A tossed distraction clattered elsewhere, buying them seconds to slip away. Evacuation denied, they were instructed to cross open desert toward distant habitation barely visible through haze. The distance sounded survivable until they stepped into it. Hours passed beneath scorching light while conversation filled the emptiness, one voice persistent, the other measured. The quiet one admitted unfinished promises waiting far away. Wind shoved a battered marker across their path, its warning partially buried yet unmistakable. They slowed, scanning ground that suddenly felt hostile. The carefree one wandered backward mid-sentence, grin lingering until a sharp snap cut him off. The desert answered with fire. Silence rushed in after the detonation, broken only by raw cries from the ground ahead. Instinct drove the other forward one step too far. A second click whispered beneath his boot, colder than the blast itself. He froze instantly, understanding he was now part of the same trap. Dust cleared enough to reveal catastrophic damage across the sand, turning the injured man's humor into hoarse panic. Distance between them suddenly felt impossible. Pain overwhelmed the wounded one until resolve hardened into something final and decisive. He forced reassurance on the frozen man before acting without hesitation. The desert fell quiet again, leaving only wind and the solitary figure locked in place beside disturbed sand. With no movement possible, survival narrowed to endurance alone. Sunlight climbs higher, tightening around him like pressure rather than warmth. He studies the ground, searching for any clue about what holds him in place. He lowers himself cautiously onto one knee, muscles shaking from restraint and heat. Balance becomes strategy, conserving strength without triggering whatever waits beneath. Gear scattered near the fallen companion tempts him with unreachable solutions. He improvises, tying laces to a tool and dragging it inch by inch. The pack finally slides close enough to grab, offering brief relief that dissolves instantly. Communication equipment inside shows no power at all. He scavenges components, aligning panels toward the sun and patching connections together. Hours pass before static answers back. Wind thickens into roaring sand, erasing visibility and coating skin with grit. He endures motionless, trusting stillness more than reaction. When calm returns, terrain has shifted around him entirely. Something once distant now rests within reach, something else carried away. He retrieves fresh power cells newly delivered by chance but finds the radio displaced farther out. Progress trades itself for new distance. Thirst gnaws until focus fractures, forcing rationing beyond comfort. He measures sips like bargaining chips with time. A distant figure appears, weaving unpredictably across dunes. Hope surges before words can form. He warns the stranger loudly, explaining danger beneath his own foot. The visitor mirrors gestures, amused or unconvinced. Negotiations falter as language divides urgency from understanding. The stranger departs, carrying the last of his water away. Desperation grows primitive and humiliating under the relentless sun. Survival instincts override dignity entirely. Another presence approaches quietly, smaller and silent. A container is offered back, impossibly full again. He drinks cautiously, suspicious of fortune, yet relief steadies his thoughts. When he looks again, the helper has gone. Darkness brings biting cold that punishes immobility in new ways. He ignites a small fire, clinging to its limited warmth. Sounds creep from the perimeter, circling impatient. He grips his weapon tighter, aware hunger surrounds him. Eyes reflect faint light from shifting shapes closing inward. Warning shots scatter some, attract others. One charging form triggers hidden ordnance nearby, erupting sand into violent bloom. The pack withdraws instantly. Morning restores harsh stillness, leaving scattered remains around him as proof of survival. He steadies himself through exhaustion. The wandering stranger returns, describing luck rather than skill. He insists movement is sometimes safer than fear allows. He requests assistance retrieving equipment, this time gaining reluctant cooperation. Tools are placed within reach at last. The visitor departs again without farewell, leaving silence heavier than before. Communication reconnects, countdown shortening painfully slowly. Heat and fatigue bend perception until impossible shapes seem credible. He converses with memories as though present. Encouragement echoes from nowhere, strengthening resolve without source. Reality blurs yet purpose returns. Night descends colder and louder, bringing circling shapes again. Ammunition dwindles while determination grows harsher. Attacks come closer this time, forcing frantic responses rather than warnings. Each shot risks unseen consequences beneath sand. Dawn reveals aftermath strewn across cratered sand, confirming endurance rather than victory. Fatigue nearly collapses him. Contact resumes with distant command, delivering news of further delay. His patience fractures audibly across transmission. A familiar voice filters through static, grounding him momentarily. Regret pours out faster than strength returns. Visions place that voice beside him across impossible distance. He reaches instinctively, forgetting the ground beneath. He falters before collapsing entirely, caught by returning hands guiding him upright again. Stories of loss and endurance follow. The guide reveals scars of survival, proving continuation after devastation is possible. Perspective shifts under shared hardship. He speaks of a helper seen earlier, assuming connection still present. Silence answers heavier than denial. Departure comes again, leaving echoes of words urging progress rather than fear. Memory of that message lingers stubbornly. Isolation deepens into reflection, dredging old violence and tenderness alike. Past confronts him alongside present risk. Transmission returns suddenly demanding visible signaling for approaching rescue. Urgency replaces contemplation instantly. Gunfire erupts from distant ridges before he can act, striking sand into violent bursts. New threats rewrite priorities again. Bullets tear across the plateau, forcing him to abandon signaling and focus on survival again. Dust erupts with each impact, revealing enemies somewhere beyond sightlines. He fires back blindly, controlling recoil while refusing to shift his planted foot. Each shot risks triggering something beneath him. Rounds strike hidden metal below, setting off blasts that cloud the terrain with smoke. The chaos shields him briefly. More return fire forces him lower, tearing fragments from stone around him. Adrenaline steadies shaking arms. Explosions ripple outward, cutting off pursuit and scattering attackers entirely. Silence returns except for ringing echoes. He reaches again for the flare, only to realize it landed far beyond reach. Rescue aircraft noise fades overhead. Frustration nearly breaks him as opportunity slips past. Words remembered about moving forward return uninvited. He weighs the unseen threat beneath his foot against certain loss above. Decision forms quietly in exhausted resolve. With breath held, he shifts weight forward into unknown risk. Sand compresses without detonation. Shock replaces dread as nothing follows the movement. He stares back at the ground, questioning hours of fear. Brushing sand aside reveals harmless debris beneath, never capable of harm. Understanding hits harder than any explosion. Relief floods through him, followed by anger at lost time and suffering. Emotion shakes his posture violently. He retrieves the flare at last, movement slow but certain now. Sky feels reachable again. Signal streaks upward, carving bright color through muted air. He collapses to his knees afterward. Rotors thunder closer as exhaustion finally wins. He lowers himself onto shifting sand. Hands pull him upward and secure him into rescue harness. Consciousness drifts in fragments. Medical lights replace sunlight as machinery vibrates around him. He clutches wakefulness stubbornly. Recovery unfolds through sterile repetition and measured breathing. Strength returns piece by piece. Familiar terminals stretch ahead, louder than gunfire ever was. He pauses before stepping forward again. A waiting figure approaches from the crowd, grounding him in reality fully at last. Words fail at first sight. He kneels instinctively, echoing countless earlier positions yet carrying new meaning. Commitment replaces hesitation. Acceptance closes distance between past fear and present resolve. He rises steadier than before. Time advances, but memories remain etched sharply. Quiet moments reveal how close loss once stood. He revisits training grounds, confronting echoes deliberately. Steps taken now hold confidence instead of doubt. Scars remind him endurance demands more than luck. He adapts routines accordingly. He speaks about survival to others facing uncertainty, voice calm and grounded. Lessons travel farther than he did. Night sometimes returns him to the plateau through dreams. He wakes before fear roots again. He channels those memories into discipline, reshaping hesitation into instinctive action. Change proves permanent. News reaches him of routes cleared and dangers reduced where he once stood trapped. Progress offers quiet closure. He returns once more to similar terrain, voluntarily this time. Purpose reshapes memory into strength. Standing where fear ruled him, he plants his feet confidently. Nothing hidden dictates him anymore. He marks the location for others, ensuring confusion never repeats itself. Action replaces regret. Wind attempts to erase his efforts immediately. He reinforces them stubbornly. He watches the horizon afterward, breathing steadily. Survival feels earned rather than accidental. Memories of companions lost remain present, shaping his perspective quietly. Respect replaces grief's sharp edge. He leaves the plateau behind again, walking without hesitation. Every step now deliberate and free. Distance swallows the place that once trapped him entirely. Closure settles firmly, paid for through ordeal endured. Months later, routine steadies his life but never dulls memory. He revisits physical therapy sessions with disciplined focus. Doctors clear him for active duty options, placing choice squarely in his hands. Control feels unfamiliar yet earned. He declines returning to identical assignments, redirecting skill toward safeguarding others instead. Decisions reshape identity quietly. Training programs adopt him as instructor, where caution and experience carry weight. Every lesson draws from lived survival. He emphasizes patience under uncertainty, drilling students relentlessly. Responsibility replaces fear with purpose. Occasionally he pauses, recalling hours frozen in place. He breathes through the memory and continues. Recognition arrives publicly for his endurance under pressure. He accepts it without celebration. Evenings belong to quieter commitments far from training grounds. Stability proves its own victory. He revisits the recovered gear preserved from the ordeal. Objects anchor reflection. Instead of bitterness, gratitude surfaces for surviving uncertainty and learning restraint. Perspective reshapes memory. He revisits the marked desert again, confirming warnings remain intact. Commitment extends beyond obligation. Standing there freely, he recalls being immobilized by fear and doubt. Contrast sharpens appreciation. He thanks those unseen influences who guided survival, even if imagined. Closure completes itself internally. Wind carries sand across his boots again, unchanged by time. This time he steps forward instantly. Movement becomes the defining lesson he carries forward. Hesitation no longer anchors him in place. He departs the region finally, leaving markers and memories behind. Purpose accompanies him outward. Life resumes fully among commitments and relationships waiting beyond hardship. Balance replaces isolation. He shares quiet evenings speaking about future plans rather than past danger. Hope steadies conversation. Years later, he still practices deliberate steps whenever terrain shifts beneath him. Habit reflects survival earned. He moves forward without fear, life intact and direction chosen. Consequences endured shape a clear, final peace.